In the Pits is partnered with YI Paintball. Paintball, there's nothing like it. On the field or off, it's not just a sport, it's a community. The people, our people, come from all over, with vastly different lives during the week. But come time for paintball, we're one community, with a lot of stories about why. Follow YI Paintball on Instagram and meet the members of the paintball community. Learn about how they started, what their journey has been, and their ultimate why. Why paintball? What's your why? In the Pits is partnered with Pod Runners Union. Follow Pod Runners Union on Instagram to find strength in union and celebrate our sports pit crew. Send in photos to represent your union local and be featured. Stealing pods for undeserving teams. It's a living. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Skull Monkeys Paintball. Equip, engage, excel. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is sponsored by FU Athletics, created with a purpose and focused on building a better you. We are a brand that matters in your workout, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Welcome, everybody, to episode 74 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we will have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we're going in the pits with Lesley Cluiss Isaacs, pro player for the WNXL World Cup champions Dallas Vibe. Lesley, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. Not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing all right. We are officially back from Cup. I'm sure that it was just as hectic for y'all as it was for me. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be talking about your win and just It was great to see y'all back on top. I think it was you won the very first WNXL event, and this was your second one, correct?
Yes, yeah, this is our second one.
All right, well, let's get into it. So this first question is brought to us by BEMRAPS. So, starting with this past weekend, Dallas Vibe took home the gold medal at the biggest event. I believe it's the biggest World Cup that's ever happened. So how was the event for you?
The event overall was very exciting. Like you said, this one felt a lot bigger and definitely a lot hotter than the past few that I've been to. So, I mean, all around the energy was just hyped the entire time. I mean, everybody was just up and going the entire time. It was this World Cup was honestly incredible. Not just because of first place. I mean, it was just incredible all around, especially seeing 12 teams in the WNXL. That was amazing.
Yeah, I know that this one, they also brought in a couple of female teams from Europe and from South America. So how was it getting to play against a kind of more diverse group there?
Honestly, it was really great getting a good look at, other teams from around the world and seeing their play style playing against them as well. It just gives you a different look, different view. It kind of changes up your play style a little bit more and really opens up your eyes to a lot more that's out there rather than, playing the same teams over and over again. You kind of start knowing how certain players play, but playing teams from around the world, that was really interesting in itself. So we really enjoyed that.
Right, especially in y'all's league, there's only I think 8 teams in the US WNXL, so you see probably most players just every event, and it's yes. It gets old very fast when the division's that small.
Yeah, it does. Don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoy playing against every single one of those teams. I mean, each one brings something different to the table. Each team has their own different style. They have their own different plays. They have their, different strengths and different weaknesses. All teams do. And still seeing the games change and evolve into everything that has come today has been absolutely incredible. Just watching each player grow individually and coming together as a team and executing it exactly how it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean that's just paintball how it is across any division, and it's especially at Cup. I mean, I know you were saying how hot it was. Like, I know for me, I was not trapped, but I was in the project booth in the Hormesis Oasis all weekend, and it was probably like low to mid 80s and very, very humid the entire time. So yeah, I know I was sweating. I can't imagine how y'all were doing, like having to play through that.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, living here in South Texas, yes, we're used to the heat and we've had one of our hottest summers that we've had yet, but that humidity was a lot thicker there than it has been here. I live 15 minutes from the beach here, and being there, I mean, the humidity was just intense this time of year. And I know I was talking to a couple other players and I was like, hey, I'm not crazy, right? Like, this is pretty bad. And so they're like, oh, no, this is probably one of the hottest ones and the most humid that we've ever had. And I was like, okay, thank you, because I know it's not just in my head.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with last year, I think I don't know if it was because the games were starting so early last year with the hurricane event, but I know it was like it had a much wider range of temperatures, and obviously the hurricane blowing through, so there was none of that mugginess in the air, and we were going all the way from like kind of low to mid 50s to low to mid 70s, and weather was a lot
Yeah.
nicer last year than it was this year.
Yes, definitely was. I think Sunday was probably the best day. There was overcast. It was cool. It felt nice, and I was like, finally get a break.
Yeah, a couple people in the chat that are kind of saying the same thing. Yeah, Max Sportswear, Charles Dean saying that it was the dustiest World Cup as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just remember I had to wipe my face off like with sweat, and it wasn't just sweat coming off. It was just like a mound of dirt that was just coming off, and I think I was just outside for not even 30 minutes at that point.
Yeah, it was pretty intense environment there. Yeah, JC Lamone of Uno's Jerky saying the same thing. His booth was kind of getting the brunt of it. So yeah, but still, I think with it being the hottest summer pretty much ever here in Texas, this past one that we just had, I bet it prepared y'all pretty well for it.
Yeah, it definitely did. I know most of the time, like a lot of the other girls are playing up there in Dallas, and I know they were still saying that it was really hot up there too. And I mean, even just all over Texas, it was really hot. So yeah, I mean, it did prepare us for the heat a lot more. And so I think we were able to manage it a little bit better than most. I know there was other teams, WNXLN, and the other divisional teams as well. I know they were having some fallouts with some players, which is not good. Just a lot of players, they don't hydrate like they should, especially in that heat if they're not used to it. So we just make sure that, everybody at Fit, all the Fit crew and everything, they make sure that we stay hydrated at all times. So that's a huge thank you to them on that part. They keep, liquid IV and Pedialyte on them at all times. So we definitely came prepared.
For sure. And Anson, if you're listening out there, you need to start bringing your sports IV hydration to the NXL. I know you were killing it at Bunkerfest, but bring it on the national stage. I'm sure it's going to be a service that is very much needed and appreciated.
I second that, Edson. If you're listening, much appreciated. Very much.
Definitely. So this next question is brought to us by Mariachi Águilas de Oro. So coming into this event, Dallas Vibe had yet to make a Sunday all year. So what do you feel like changed within the team between Chicago and World Cup that allowed the entire team to play at your potential?
Well, at Chicago, we did have a few mishaps within the team, just needing to work on a few tweaks, just needing to work on a few things. At Chicago, we went 1-3. We lost 3 games, but the 3 games that we lost, we tied and we went into overtime, and that's where we lost all 3 of those games. So it wasn't like a huge shutout. We definitely fought, but we all knew, collectively, like, okay, hey, we could have done better. We made some mistakes. Now let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what we need to do for Cup. Like that's where we want to take it. We know where we made our mistakes. We know what we did wrong, and we know how to fix it. So let's go ahead and give it back to work. And that's exactly what everybody did. There's several of the other girls that guested with different teams. They were out there practicing, Wednesday night ball, Friday night ball, and then the weekends. And myself, playing on Texas Titans, working with them and practicing with them as well. Just trying to get as much playtime and trying to just get as much work in as possible, for each of us, and, give it all we got at Cup. And that's exactly what we did. We came to Cup with a game plan, and, it was just leave it all on the field. We put in the work, we put in the time, each one of us, and at Cup, it ended up showing. We played our strengths, we developed our weaknesses, a lot more than what we have. We recognized what they were, and we did what we needed to do. And now we left with first place. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing everything come together.
Yeah, and I like how all of, or maybe not all of Dallas Vibe, but so many of y'all are able to hop on some other divisional teams in Texas. That way, even though you have this gigantic gap in between the first event in Florida and Chicago, because y'all only play 3 events out of the year, you're still able to like play. And I think the WNXL, that was one of their goals in general, was just to get more women playing in the local and regional leagues, either on their own teams or like kind of joining up with other already established teams. So it's good to see that that goal is being achieved in Texas, at least.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Especially in Texas, I have seen a lot more women, getting onto the field or just reaching out. I know there's been a few new girls this year that have been showing up to fit, from what the girls have said. And then I know I've seen a few new faces at X Factor as well, and just kind of all over the place. I've been seeing, pictures and stuff of more women that have been wanting to get into paintball. Even down here in South Texas, like I've had several women reach out to me wanting to get into the sport, but they're a little bit questionable, on whether or not they want to do it, just because they see the beautiful bruises on me and they're just not sure. I was like, don't worry, it's not all the time. But yeah, it's definitely grown a lot more in Texas that I've seen. And then, of course, also seeing it in Florida and, in other states and, around the U.S. has been amazing in general as well. So.
Mhm. Yeah, and so many of the Dallas Vibe players also hop on TKO on one of their lines anyway. There, I think one or two of the Dallas Vibe players also hops on the Brickdown Bucks. Obviously, you're playing with the Texas Titans, and like Texas divisional like teams and players is an absolute grind. And even though y'all aren't playing necessarily together week in and week out throughout the year, it's I think it's still like beneficial just being able to bring everybody in and like still work throughout the year and grow really quickly. And I think y'all being able to do that in Texas specifically is like it's better than any of the other teams from wherever else they're from.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is the largest state, so we do have a lot of people. We have a lot of fields to go to. I mean, they're not wrong when they say everything's bigger in Texas. I mean, you have bigger teams, bigger fields, you have bigger support group, just all throughout Texas. It seems like everybody kind of supports each other. Like even some rival teams, whichever, like they still tend to support each other. And, I know a lot of the teams, they get together, they practice with each other. And, teams from Austin, from San Antonio, from the Valley, Dallas, Houston area. I mean, just all over. Everybody is, scrimmaging at some point in time. So it is a giant community here in Texas. And I do think that some other states, just they see it and they go, oh, Texas paintball. And I'm like, no, it's Texas paintball. Like it's a difference. I think it has that nice Southern charm to it, but.
Oh yeah. And you see the results.
Exactly.
Yeah, real quick in the chat, this one seems a little bit time sensitive. So from Chris Isaacs, he asks, he's going to order wings for dinner. What flavors do you want? I'm assuming he's not asking me, so.
Oh my God. I did marry him. I married him. That's right. I did. I'll deal with him later.
All right,
he knows exactly what I want.
Perfect. All right, so I unfortunately wasn't able to watch all of your games, but I was able to watch the finals. And from what I saw and from what I heard from everybody who was able to watch everything, you were an absolute beast in the snake all event long. So do you have one or two moments on the field specifically that you think stood above the rest?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this layout all over. The snake was a blast because it was challenging to get into and to certain places, but if you were quick enough and you knew what to do, you were able to get to where you were going. I did take a lot of heat, especially towards the end. Each time going into snake, a lot of teams put the pressure on me, and but my teammates, they helped me, they backed me up, and I was able to get all the way to the snake 50 and put in that work. And I was taking 1, 2, 3, 4 bodies with me at a time, and it was a lot of fun. Just being the snake player, you have to know where the bodies are at with help really looking with your eyes, just listening to where the guns are at, listening to body positionings, the voices, and just knowing like if you're in the beam, like if you pop up right here with your gun, like where is it going to be pointing, to what bunker, what bunker can shoot you. So it's really hard for me to say like what particular moment was my favorite in the snake, because there was just so many times where I was listening to my 2, which was mostly JC at the time. And, she was telling me where the bodies were at, who was on me, or if there was, anybody else, mirroring me. And if there wasn't, she'd tell me it was all clear, and I bolted. So there were several points, against the heroines. I thoroughly enjoy playing against them. Several of the girls on there. I love going against them because they got some heavy guns. They're a great team to go against, and some of those points were definitely some of my favorite ones to go against them in the snake as well, just because I talked to them after, and they were just like, "You and the snake," and I was like, "Yeah, your gun was on me. I felt it. I just knew it was you." And then there was some of my favorite points against the femmes as well. They came in, heavy guns on me going into snake. A couple of them were able to stop me from going into the snake, but I was still able to take, a couple bodies with me before I got out. So, I mean, all around this whole event, even with me getting shot out, I just loved every single point. I enjoyed it. It didn't matter what it was. I had fun.
Yeah, it sounds like at least this layout played a little bit more old school mentality where you just, whoever owns the snake owns the game.
Basically, yeah, that's what it was. And all of the successful games, not even just from us, from other teams as well, like the teams who were winning the most they were 1-2 bodies into the snake, and they were just taking 3-4 packs with them, before they died out, if they died out, and then the two would come and take over. It was just it definitely an older mentality, style snake, and I thoroughly enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that's
you had to be very methodical with it.
Yeah, that can be a brutal game to play as well, especially if it just gets down to a war of attrition there. Just last body standing wins the point in the snake.
Yeah. There was a couple times that I was the last body alive in the snake, and I was like, oh no. But that's the point where I'm just like, all right, like, okay, what do you do next? Like, you know what to do. Time to go to work. Where am I? Where are the bodies? And then I just sit there and I just open up my ears and I listen. So there was a point that I was against the femmes, and I was the last body alive, and I think there was 3 bodies left. Or no, I think there was 2 bodies left with me, and I think there was 3 bodies left. Well, one of our girls, I guess, ended up shooting out who was left with me, and then it was just me. But then they didn't realize I was in the corner, and because it was that tiny bunker, so I was just there tucked. And I came out and shot the girl that was coming up the middle. I shot the girl that was coming up the D side. And then there was just snake side left. Well, I knew that she was at snake. I just didn't know where. Well, I went up and I ran up to her, and we both ended up trading out. So she shot me once in the leg, and then I shot her, I think, like once or twice in the shoulder. So she just ended up turning to look at me, and I was like, oh my God. That was very nerve-wracking, but that was one of my single points that I ended up being alone on. Yeah, the other one that ended up being alone on was a 2v1 against the heroines. And I remember because I was Nicole Gates and I was with Jen Folk. And I was like, oh man, here we go.
Yeah, well, Jen Folk's definitely a beast, but man, those points are you just go back and you're like, you know what? This point where it's like the points where it should be like you have no business winning that point, and then you manage to stalemate it or turn it around. Those are the big moments right there. So congratulations on your performance in those moments for sure.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, the one against Nicole and Jen, I did not win that one. I lost that one. But it was just so much fun because I knew it was both of them that I was going against, and I just love both of them, and it was just great going against them because Nicole's got a strong gun, and Jen, she's just got, that paintball IQ, and I was like, I need to at least take one of them, or I just want to, die on my sword. So I just ended up dying on my sword, and I wasn't mad about it.
There you go. All right, so that kind of wraps up our World Cup talk there. Let's talk more about you and your history. So this question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
Oh man, I have been involved in the Texas paintball scene since I think it was 2019 is when I started actually getting serious in paintball. Yeah, since about 2019 is when I started getting serious in paintball. My first tournament with our team from down here, South Texas, we ended up placing first place at our first event together. So, and our team then I think was Malicious Intent was our name, but then it ended up changing to Malicious after that. So that was exciting. I remember how nervous I was for that, but ever since then, I just kind of really grew to love the sport and the adrenaline rush and everything that led to it. You know, it was a different type of violence that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, there's really nothing else like it out there, and uh, like the paintball bug bites in a way that nothing else can like truly replicate. Just not just the high intensity, and even like the pain that you get to inflict and like dodge and all that, but just like
Yeah.
the team aspect too.
Yeah, the team aspect is great. Growing up, I've done all different types of sports. I started off in soccer, then I went to softball for a little while. Then, of course, I did track. I've done competitive cheerleading majority of my life, growing up, all the way up until high school. And then in high school, I did cheerleading. I also did volleyball, track. I did football for a little bit, but that didn't work out too well in my favor. And then after that, just did several other sports. And, I've always been a part of some type of team in some form or fashion. So just been an athlete my whole life.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm sure all of that kind of has some level of carryover into what you're doing now.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like I said, the adrenaline rush in paintball is something that I've, basically craved my entire life, something that I chase after. It's just that calm feeling on the start box right before it, beeps down to 1. And as soon as my feet hit the ground running, and as soon as I make it into my bunker, it's just my nerves are high, my heart rate is high, and then everything else is just, I'm at full focus at that point. So it's very nice to be in this sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of I know you mentioned malicious and malicious intent already, but what teams have you played for over the years?
So over the years, mostly it was malicious that I played with for the longest time, and then I did play with the paintball ladies for a couple. Let me see. I think it was for a few events. My first World Cup actually was with the paintball ladies. Played. I think it was the D4 5-man, and then I did the D5 3-man, if I'm not mistaken. But I had to guess with the D4 because they were down a player, so I went up with them. And then I did the D5 3-man with the paintball ladies, and we ended up. That one, I remember that one very well. That one was one of my other favorite uh, snake plays for sure. We ended up placing, I think, like 15th or 16th out of 54 teams. So that was pretty cool in itself. And of course, getting introduced to some of the other women in the league as well. That was awesome too. And then of course, I played for the Texas Titans, and then got involved with Dallas Vibe as well.
Sweet. Well, I know that we've been very happy to have you for since July, I guess, was your first event with us. But I know you've been around a little bit, especially like at X Factor with Paintball Ladies, and then just kind of hopping over with us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Yeah, it's been great.
yeah. So looking at the chat here, lots of congratulations are coming in from Casey Harris says MVP. Bushido Iron says congratulations. Rick Hall says congrats. 361 represent. Let's see. Jose say Mariachi Aguilas de Oro one more time. Well, there you go, buddy. And Jerry Pascal says his favorite female teammate. Woohoo! And then
hey, there you go, Jerry.
And then Adon is saying it better have been lemon pepper that you ordered.
Oh my god! I'll get that on the side.
Not bad. All right. So this next question is brought to us by Skull Monkeys Paintball. So what was it that got you into paintball to begin with?
My husband is the one that got me into paintball, actually. He played paintball growing up for a long time. I know he's played with several teams. One in particular, I think, was Texas Excessive or Aggression. I can't remember the name now. It's going to bother me. But he's played with several teams growing up, and then he stopped playing for a while, and then him and I got together, and then he started getting around the paintball community a little bit more. And he was like, you know what, I want to get back into it. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to play paintball, never got the chance to, never had anybody to go with. So let me try it out. And he took me to the field, and he saw that I had a natural act for it. And he was like, hey, you want to like actually like play? And I was like, what do you mean play? And he was like, no, I go to tournaments. And I was just like, that's a thing. And he was like, yeah, that's a thing. I'm like, you know what? Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go. Whenever I was younger, like I saw videos and stuff, and I saw certain players, and I knew a few names here and there that I remember seeing, way back when, which is why I was always interested in paintball, but just never really had anybody to go with until him. So he got me into it and showed me the ins and outs. He's actually taught me a lot about it, and he made me fall in love with the sport.
All right. Yeah. It's interesting that that's how you got involved. It wasn't like a birthday party or anything like that, or like reading magazines or watching Push or anything. Yeah, your husband got you involved, and now you're just as involved, if not more involved than him now.
Yeah, I definitely think he's still a lot more involved. I mean, a lot of the purchases do still come from him, not myself. So he's, I mean, he loves paintball. I mean, he continuously tells me, just his thought process on, how I should play. I mean, he's coached me, he's helped me with, everything that I know and everything that I've learned, up until this point. And he continues to coach me. Granted, he's extremely hard on me, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
Love it. And actually, I want to ask you a little bit more about that. And this question is brought to us by Pod Runners Union. So how has it been to have both of y'all so involved in the same sport and the same hobby?
So it's funny because I've actually thought about this before, and I never thought that I would end up with someone who would get me into this type of sport. Like I thought, prior to this, like I've done bodybuilding, I've done jiu-jitsu, I've done a lot of other sports. And so I thought like, whoever I was with would probably be more into like jiu-jitsu like me, or maybe, bodybuilding. But whenever I got into paintball, doing this with him, I mean, I love it a lot. It's exciting. It's fun. It gives us something, just to do together. And of course, when we have our nice little arguments, we can just go and talk crap to each other on the field real quick. And he's lit me up quite a few times, and I've done the same to him. So it's very enjoyable and relaxing. So
yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, it doesn't get too awkward with anybody asking either you or him the next day, like, where are all these bruises come from? Oh, it's from my spouse.
Well, no, he's actually used to that by now. Because since I do train jiu-jitsu, I do have a lot of bruises, and that'll lead to busted lips, busted nose, black eyes. I get choke marks because of the gi or like certain movements and stuff. So we'd be going out in public, and I'd be like super happy, la-di-da, and everybody would just giving him the stink eye, and I'm sitting there just like, hey, how's it going? And they're looking at me like, are you okay? I was like, no, I'm fine. I just trained jiu-jitsu. So I feel bad for him.
Love it. No, I'm curious if he ever gets the same questions.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he probably does, with the fact that I'm bruised up and I'm happy-go-lucky. So I'm pretty sure people think that I was crazy. Now people know me a lot better around here, so they just know like if Lesley's covered in bruises, she's fine.
Right, for sure. And how has it been, like, not only being involved in the same sport, but now both of y'all are on the same team?
Honestly, I love playing with him on the same team. We don't really butt heads with each other as much as we, used to. I would know I was a little bit more stubborn from the start, but that was just me being new, and just kind of wanting to learn on my own. But him and I got along a lot better, and being on the same team, it's been interesting. I feel like we've both grown together. I definitely trust him completely whenever I'm on the field. I know he has my back every time. He's played my two in the snake several times, and whenever he's behind me, I hear him clear as day. So, I mean, our communication on and off the field is fantastic. And, I know that he has my back on the field. Whenever it's actually funny because the Texas Titans, he was just supposed to go and try out for that team. I actually wasn't going to try out because I wanted him to have his own team, and then I was going to try to, guest with somebody else. I was actually looking for another team to guest with. Well, he ended up mentioning, he was like, hey, why don't you go ahead and try out? And I was like, well, I want that to be your team. Like, I want you to have your own thing with you because I have vibe, and I want you to be with your own team, whatever you want to do. He's like, no, yeah, just like, I wouldn't mind you playing with me. Like, just go to tryouts and see what happens. And I was like, sure, why not? So I ended up showing up to tryouts, and then it turns out, we both made the team. And I was like, this is great. So I think I was probably a little bit more excited than he was, but being on the same team with him it's awesome. I love it. I love playing with him, and I know he gets excited at times, and he'll be yelling at me on the field too, like just cussing me out, just telling me what I need to do. And I was like, no, you're right. I should have done that. But I just look at him from across the field, and I'm like, dang, he looks good. So sometimes he can be a distraction, but other than that, I'm like, it's fun.
It's such a unique dynamic. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that is on the same team as their spouse, but that's super cool that y'all are able to do that. And I do want to go into a little bit more about kind of both, like you joining us on the Titans, and this one's brought to us by Paintball Kumite. So you joined us starting in July. You played your first event with the Texas Titans, both in Bunkerfest and in USXBL. So, like, what was it that stemmed you coming to the Titans specifically? Was it mostly just Chris bringing you along, or you were just looking for another divisional team on your own to do in addition to Vibe throughout the season? And then how has it been balancing both your local team and the WNXL team, the Dallas Vibe?
So I would have to say, I mean, it's a lot of both. He definitely brought me on. I definitely wanted to, be on the same team as him, just because we played with Malicious together and we were on the same team, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then, but I also wanted to go ahead and start, guesting with another team. I wanted to grow in the sport a little bit more. I wanted to, see what else I'm going to be able to, do on the field. Like, what are my capabilities? Like, I know that I still haven't unlocked my full capabilities in paintball. Like, I know I'm lacking, and I know where I'm lacking, and I understand that I still have a lot to learn, and I'm willing to put in the work and do what I need to do to go ahead and learn. And so far, playing on the Titans has, shown me a lot, and it's opened my aggression up a lot more, especially playing with them. Just having more time to actually work with a team in general, I feel has pushed me to open up a lot more. And I mean, I've seen nothing but good things come out of it so far.
I mean, I can definitely say the same thing, especially being in the commentator booth for the USXBL broadcast that was at X Factor in July. Which was that your first event with us, or was one of the Bunkerfest events your first one?
Let me see. I think that one was the first event, because I think that was like our mixed lines that was in on that one. So I think that was like our first one together that I was on.
Got it. Yeah.
Because there was a Bunkerfest prior to that I wasn't in, that Chris was, but I wasn't at that Bunkerfest, and then I showed up to the USXBL, and that was my first time playing with Titans.
Well, I think everybody that was watching the stream immediately knew that, hey, this is a great fit, because we were calling it. Me and Robert Jordan up at the booth were saying, hey, this, like, it's very obvious that you need to assign two people your way, otherwise you're just going to go down the snake and shoot everybody. So I can say that we definitely enjoy having you on. We think it's a great fit, and we're excited to see what next year looks like for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to be on as well. I've had a lot of fun with y'all this year too. The guys have been very supportive of me. Honestly, at first, so I don't think I told y'all this yet, but I felt super awkward at first because everybody was super quiet around me. And I was like, does nobody know how to be around a girl on the field? Or is it just like nobody's ever played, a female on the field before? Because everybody was dead quiet until I started making some like jokes and comments, and they go, oh, she's just another dude. Like, it's fine. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm chill. And even still, like, y'all are just like, all right, guys, let's do this. Oh, wait, gal. And I'm like, nope, don't correct yourself. Just keep talking. Like, it's fine. So I think it was just that like, I was like, I hope these guys are ready to, play with a female on the team because I'm ready to play. And so, but it has been. And, every single one of the guys definitely has my respect for sure. And, it's just been great. Great all around to be around y'all.
Oh, we love it. And let's see here. I'm surprised he's not here in the chat yet, but we need to hear about Michael Lundgren's support specifically in the chat. I'm almost kind of glad he's not here.
Yet?
No, he hasn't. I'm a little disappointed.
Oh man, me too. I would have at least thought he would have responded at least 3 times and at least twice about a wig, but
something like that.
Yeah. Later.
Well, we're going to have to get after him about this one. All right. So this next question is brought to us by YI Paintball. So in addition to paintball, you've also talked about your background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some bodybuilding. So tell us more about your athletic background before coming into paintball.
Oh man. My whole life I've been involved in something. I've been active my entire life. I just have too much energy just to not do something. And I like to say it's my family gene, my Cluiss gene. We're a family of athletes. We all do something. In bodybuilding, I got into that years ago. And I started off in bikini because I was just really small, petite. And I worked my way up until, I started gaining more muscle, started liking the way that I looked, the strength that I got, training more that way. It's a different style of training. It's a different lifestyle. It's very disciplined, like extremely disciplined. I always tell people, I'm like, look, this is either going to make you or break you. And it's a mental game. It's a mental and physical game. You put your body through so much stress. You put your mental health through a lot of stress. And if you're not careful, it can break you. And I've seen a lot of people just get completely broken from it. They get down and out. And some people just do it the wrong way. And I'm like, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do it. And if you do it the right way, you'll fall in love with the sport. And that's what I did. I fell in love with it, loved the way that I was going with it. And, it helped me a lot with my discipline, in all aspects of life. Then I went up from bikini to figure. And then whenever the wellness division came in, my legs were already too big for figure. So then I was just like, let's try this wellness division out. And ended up placing first place in overall in one of my first wellness bodybuilding shows. So that was a huge deal for me because that was the first time I ever won overall, and that was a very big highlight of my life for that because that was a goal that I always wanted to get was I wanted to win overall. That's a big deal. And then with jiu-jitsu, I've been competing and training jiu-jitsu for over 12 years now. I had a little bit of break every so often, just due to injuries or just due to life, something gets in. So I am a brown belt in jiu-jitsu under my professor at Gracie Baja, Leo Cantu. And our school is very large worldwide. So no matter where I go worldwide, if there's a Gracie Baja, I can show up to any one of them and they'll welcome me with open arms. But jiu-jitsu in itself, it's a whole other world. It's a whole different family. That in itself is a way of life. And I have incorporated jiu-jitsu methodology, just everything about it into every single way of my life. The way that I think, the way that I do things with my life. It's helped me basically find my zen a lot. It's very humbling, even though it can be a very violent sport. But it's a huge community and it's only grown the last several years. And it's definitely helped with a lot in my life, just physique, physical aspect, mental aspect. It's only made me stronger in every way. And that right there is probably has always been my main sport, and it's just because it's challenging. It's like a game of chess. In order to beat your opponent, you have to at least be 10 steps ahead at all times. And it's constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, and it's so methodical, but it just keeps you relaxed the whole time. So it's and it's also nice to go against bigger opponents and know that you can take them. So that's a plus.
Right. Both of those is such a mental game. And I can tell that, coming into paintball, which is also very much a mental game, and it's constantly like dubbed chess with guns. Like there seems to be a lot of power there, at least being able to transition between the two and still like, hey, if you're mentally disciplined over here, then that's going to transfer pretty well.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially with jujitsu. Like I started jujitsu before I started bodybuilding. And, my whole life just being an athlete, like I've had a certain mindset. And as soon as I'm in the game, my head's in the game. All emotions set aside. The only emotion that I do show is like anger, but it's never really with anybody else. It's mostly like towards myself. If I make a mistake, like, okay, like, hey, you should have done better than that. Like, better, you messed up, like time to move on. And that's the only time that I'll really get angry, is just mostly with myself. If I get angry at somebody else, like, then that means like something big probably happened. But most of the time, it's just like I'll get angry at myself, and that's about it. But I mean, we're only human; we can get mad at ourselves. But yeah, I mean, just the mentality with jujitsu just really shaped every part of my life. I mean, as soon as I get on the box, for paintball, it's just like I'm in the zone. Nothing else gets in my head. Everything shuts out, and the only thing that I'm paying attention to is my job and what I need to do next. So it's definitely correlated a lot in every aspect of my life.
For sure. So looking here in the chat, we do have one question from Brandon Ortega of BEMRAPS. His question is, so not being able to play with your WNXL team as much throughout the year, what is one of the more important things that you think about going into the event?
One of the more important things. Really, it's just coming together as a team. I know I'm not I'm not in Dallas as much. It is a long travel for me. And of course, with my work and my lifestyle and, just my personal life, it's hard for me to get up there a lot. So just really when the times that I do get up there, it's just, listening into their voices, getting in tune with them again, because most of them are playing together all the time. So I'm not able to go up as much. So really my main focus is just to, okay, now it's time to get back with the girls. So let's fall back in line. And normally I don't have a problem doing that. I'm able to tune into them fairly quickly. If I am having, trouble or problems, they're able to come up and tell me like, hey, like, were you listening? Were you hearing me? Or, what else do we need to do? So there's been a lot more communication lately between, myself, the girls, and the coach and the coaches and stuff. And that's really showed a lot of focus for that.
For sure. Let's see. Don Jose Jalapeno, which is Jose on the D5 line. He says he bets you can easily outbench 95% of the guys on the Titans, speaking as one of the 95%. So how much can you bench?
I think the most that I've benched was like 185. It's not much. It's not much.
Well, that's I mean, especially for your size, I would guess that's a pretty good ratio there.
Yeah, it is. I haven't been benching, too much, so I've just been working out a little bit more. But we'll see. Maybe I'll try to break that 185. I'll keep you posted.
All right, I love it. So this next question is brought to us by Thomas, FE Athletics. So go to the feathletics.com. And so what has been your favorite moment in your paintball career so far?
Oof. Oh man, that's a tough one. Honestly, there's just been several. I mean, I think my favorite one was winning the first, inaugural WNXL event. I mean, that's, the first in history, first of its kind. And to take that first place, just with a whole new team of girls that, a lot of them had just barely been introduced to paintball, not that long. We came together as a team and, we won the whole thing. We came in, fought what we needed to do, and, we took it. I think that one is probably going to be definitely up there. And then I think, honestly, I mean, this might be cheesy, this might be cliche, but whatever. It's always podiuming with my husband. It didn't matter if it was first, second, or third place. Our most recent one was third place with the Titans. And I think that one was probably one of my favorite moments, just because reaching the podium with him by my side, and it's just bittersweet. So
Well, those are both great answers. I'm surprised that you didn't say World Cup. Usually, anybody who's won a World Cup just immediately jumps to that.
No, that's definitely up there for sure. Like that's probably in like the top 5 of my favorite moments, just because those wins with my husband do definitely take that. But it's also because our daughter was there too, so it was also really nice to have her there. So I tend to be a little bit cheesy about that and tend to put that a little above others. But yeah, I know this win over World Cup, that's definitely and for sure up there. I would have to probably say my top 3.
Well, those are all definitely respectable answers for sure. I mean, winning the first ever WNXL event, no one else is ever going to be able to say that they did that.
Exactly.
All right, so this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So looking to the future now, we're officially in the off season. So what does that look like for you, and what can we expect for you for next season? Are we going to see you come back to suit up for Dallas Vibe?
Yeah, so I mean, the off season, definitely a lot more family time. That's something that I'm looking forward to, just because paintball, it does take up a lot of the year, and it does take up a lot of it takes up a lot of time, even though there was a lot of space in between. But having our daughter and her activities and stuff, our weekends are mostly full. So just with it being close to the holidays and everything, and it being off season, like I'm really looking forward to some nice, quiet, and just good old fashioned family time is what I'm really looking forward to. And as far as next season with Vibe, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it's going to be a whole new year with with the Vegas event. I know everybody was pretty excited about that. It's just I don't know what next year is going to bring. I know everybody's going to bring it a lot harder, a lot stronger with all the teams, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fight next year. This year was a big fight since last year. And I know next year is only going to, that fight is going to be a lot harder to do. So I'm just looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. We'll see what happens. So leaving us on a little bit of a cliffhanger there, but I love it. We'll just have to stay tuned there. I know a silly season for paintball has just started. So,
yes.
All right. Keep on the lookout, everybody. So this next question is brought to us by Get That Shot. Message him on Facebook or Instagram if you're needing media coverage. I also know that he's going to be opening up his sponsorship program for next year. So if that's something that your team is considering in the off season, give him a shout out. So Lesley, this is the question I ask everybody that comes on the show, just so I can hear about any up and comers or maybe lesser known, or just, give a shout out. So is there anybody in Texas, either teams, players, brands, or projects that have caught your attention lately? Who do you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Oh, man. I mean, this is also probably going to sound a little bit more cliche as well, but I'm going to have to throw a big shout out to Paintball Fit. I mean, with everything that they've been doing up there, I mean, they've been bringing a lot of those teams in, and I mean, they've been grinding and putting in the work. I mean, they really have been, they come up, they show up, and they show out. Every single time that I go up there, it is a fight every single time. Doesn't matter if it's nightball or if it's just practice or, the weekend before the events. It's just they definitely bring the heat and they bring the competition. So I definitely enjoy what they do up there, and just bringing the paintball community to them a lot. Having all of their XTPLs and mech balls too, like those are fun as well. Like if you haven't done one, I definitely recommend trying one out. I mean, I had a blast with them, just being, playing with different people, not the same. And just, that really shows, what you can actually do. Like, what can you do? Okay. And then you realize, well, I can't do that, on this. So it's kind of an eye opener for that. And I thoroughly enjoy it up there for sure. As far as like any other shout out that I have to give, like that's in Texas is definitely it's actually one of my personal sponsors. I've actually been sponsored by them for, golly, I think it's probably been over 10 years that I've been sponsored with them. And that's actually Rocks Discount Vitamins and more. They started out here in Corpus Christi, and they grew. I mean, they've been opening stores up in San Antonio. They opened up stores in Houston, at College Station, like they're spreading. And what they are is like they sell different supplements, they sell different vitamins, like proteins and stuff. So like all of my, you see me at the field all the time with the protein shakes and You see me with the amino chains and the amino acids, and then of course my lovely pre-workouts that just help me stay focused the entire time. So y'all see me with all of that, and of course my Carbolin that I always carry with me, just because I'm one of those people that cannot eat before an event. I cannot eat solid food. It does not work well with me. So I'm basically on a liquid diet, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, they'll see me and they go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." But the Carbolin that I take is just, it's a liquid, it's a powder form of carbs, and so you just pour it in water and you sit there and you just drink it back. And it's like eating oatmeal or brown rice or anything like that. It's just fast acting, and it's nothing heavy sitting on your stomach, so it keeps me going throughout however long I need to. And I think it's like one scoop is like 50 grams of carbs. So I was just like, yeah, I need this. So I'm not starving myself, and my body's not fatiguing. And then of course my protein shakes and stuff that I get from them all the time, they've just helped me out all throughout the years. Like, anything that I've needed, they've helped me out, and they've just been a crew, a force that have just been, they're a force to be reckoned with for sure. And they're always very helpful with everything that I've been doing, whether it's bodybuilding, jiu-jitsu, paintball. I mean, I know they were just like, "Wait a minute, when did you start doing paintball?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. You just come try it out." So they've just been growing a lot more. So that's definitely a shout out and a big thanks that I got to give to them, because they've always supported me and they've always helped me out in every aspect of my life. So
awesome. So you'll have to actually, I'm gonna ask you this question just so we can get it for everybody. So give us your rundown of like what is your game day meal or your game day diet. Like, give us exactly what it is that you're consuming, like morning of or as you're getting ready to play.
all right. So if I'm playing in the afternoons, then I'll actually eat a good breakfast. Like, I'll do some eggs, potatoes. I'll do bacon. Sometimes it'll be like pancakes, just because they're a little bit more filling and they're a little bit more, they'll last a lot longer. And then the rest of the day, it'll just be protein shakes and the Carbolin, and that's all that I'll have. And of course, my amino chains, which are the BCAAs, your body naturally produces it, but it just helps that lactic acid build up in your muscles to break down, so that way you're not so sore and you're not so fatigued as much. So that it's been a lifesaver, especially whenever you're having to sprint or they tell you 50 snake off break. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. All right, fine. So those are my lifesaver for that. If I'm playing in the mornings, then I just stick with my protein shakes and my Carbolin throughout the day until I can actually have a long enough break to have a full meal. But other than that, like, I'm still getting my nutrients in, because I take my vitamins and I do like my liquid greens that I have. So I'm still getting all my nutrients, my minerals, proteins, carbs, and I'm also getting my sugars. So my fast-acting sugars will be, Trolli sour bright worms. Those are my weakness a little bit. So I'll have some type of fast-acting sugar just to kind of help my levels, stay mellow throughout the whole time. But that's about my diet until it gets later on, and I'm just like, all right, are we done? Because I need some actual like food, like chewing, no more drinking. So.
Right. And so what do you have, like a go-to recovery, like post games or like immediately after practice?
Normally I try to keep it as healthy as possible. So I'll try to do, any type of protein, whether it's a beef or a chicken. And then I try to go towards, something with, a rice base or anything like that. Or like, if, I know a lot of popular places are like Mexican restaurants and stuff. So then I try to stick with like the homemade corn tortillas, especially being down here in the South. Those homemade corn tortillas are awesome. And for all of my people who are probably watching that are down in the Valley and down South Texas, y'all know those corn tortillas slap. It's great. And then, so after the fact, I just try not to eat something so greasy. It doesn't agree with my stomach after that. It's just, I just try to keep it as, healthy as possible. Not clean, just healthy.
All right. Well, there it is. I'm definitely going to be using some of that myself. All right. So just double checking the chat one last time before we bring our episode to a close. Brandon Ortega says, congrats on the win. Jose says, your bench is a very respectable number. Let's see. Chris is He's letting us know your order. So Cajun and garlic parmesan, like a nerd, is what she eats, is what he said.
Uh-huh.
See, who else is in here? I think that just about does it for our chat in here. So, this final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods, especially if you're looking for new gear or a new team package for next season. So, Lesley, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yeah. I would just like to say, a huge thank you to Paintball Fit and Dallas Vibe, crew, for all of our sponsors, for all the work that they have put in, this entire year. We have an amazing pit crew that, it's only showed with each event. It's insane, the support group that we've had, since day one. And I can't thank each one of them enough, for being there for me. JD, Sarah, y'all are absolutely amazing. I love both of you so much. And, this year has made me grow for sure, as a player, as an individual. And, I thank them all the time, just for everything that they do for us and for Vibe. And, I thank all of our sponsors. There's a lot that are coming to my head right now. This Empire, Exalt, Virtue, Planet Eclipse, Welts, XXV, the label. There's several others at the moment that I'm kind of forgetting, so please forgive me, I swear. And then, just again, back to Paintball Fit. Thank y'all again for everything that y'all do. And I'm looking forward to everything that's coming for next year for Vibe. And it's just, it's incredible with everything and the growth, and I can't thank them enough. I really can't. I'm excited to see what next year brings.
Well, we're going to be rooting for you. And just to help you out with the sponsors, I found a picture of the Dallas Vibe jersey. So Empire, Paintball Fit, Virtue, Hydra, Powerhouse, Free Flow, Planet Eclipse, Freak, XXV, the label, Welts, Exalt, GOG, and Venomware.
Yes, that is all of them. Thank you for the help, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's getting a little emotional thanking all of them. So.
All right. So that just about does it for our show. I want to conclude by saying it was a pleasure to see everybody at World Cup. Thank you for those who stopped by to say hi. And now looking ahead, we have the In the Pits Joust, which was announced 2 weeks ago, right before we left for World Cup. So it's a fantastic experience. If you've never done the Joust, or if you weren't able to go on Oliver Lang's tour, I strongly recommend it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of sponsors that are going to be giving things away. We've got several pro players from Texas that are going to be involved, pro players, pro coaches. So sign up today. Go to X Factor's website, look, type in Joust, and it should be the first thing. Or if you are on the In the Pits social media pages, I'm going to be sharing those links periodically. So sign up, and you're going to have a great time. The event's December 10th, starting at 10 a.m. And I will see you all there. So that does it for our show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Lesley at Lesley Cluiss 2 on Instagram. What other guests would you all like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I want to give a shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: FU Athletics, Get Dat Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Bem Raps, Skull Monkeys Paintball, Hydra, XDPL Events, which, by the way, they're having a MechX on Sunday, so go sign up for that. YI Paintball, Mariachi Águilas de Oro, and Pod Runners Union. So we will see you guys next week for episode 75, where we will have none other than JD Lukow on the show. Paintball Fit put on an absolute show at World Cup. They claimed, they went 5 for 5 in semi-pro, which has never been done before. Obviously, Dallas Vibe, also hailing from Paintball Fit, and then Jackpot spends a good amount of time up there as well. So all three of those teams ended up winning World Cup. Jackpot and Paintball Fit won their series as well. So And then Shut Up or Trying, of course, got second place in the series, and I believe they got third place at World Cup. So Paintball Fit had a very good showing at World Cup. We're going to hear the head honcho himself, JD Lukow, next episode for episode 75. So we will see you all then. Lesley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.